No, I want to make sure this is.
So my name is Sophia Chu. I serve as the Executive Director of the Caribbean Community Service Center. Anybody ever heard of that organization? Not the people that are part of the organization. Has anybody ever heard of this organization? Okay. So we founded this organization in 2017 to fill a gap for our community, the Caribbean community. And that's inclusive of our collective community, which is the African American and African communities here. We have 5 service areas or program areas that we support. Folks know that Caribbean people, especially the ones here in Detroit, know how to turn up, right? They know what turn up and line is. We throw the parties, we cook the food, and we hang out. But what we wanted to do is to see things differently. We wanted to support our community for community advocacy, community service, sports, arts and culture, professional development, and educational development. We also wanted to make sure we have a welcoming space for Caribbean immigrants that come into our city. Caribbean people have been here since the 1800s. And we continue to look at them like they're newcomers. And we all know how to say what we know, because we've been living here for a long time. So I wanted to make sure that I tell you a little bit about our organization before we run into the program today. Because my hope is that you will take us into rooms that you are going into. And also have that cool question, if you have somebody with an accent. Where are you from? You're from Trinidad and Tobago? Wow, you know there's an organization that can support you guys. Because what we want to do is also make sure that we pivot. We learn how to support our community to make sure that everybody is successful in the city of Detroit. That being said, we know where we are, right? We are in this beautiful space that's named after this beautiful person, this beautiful soul. He has been an anchor for us in our community for a long time. And I wanted to give him the opportunity today to tell us a little bit about himself, his story, because I'm a storyteller. So I want to hear a little bit about his story. I'm hoping that he will welcome us into his house, literally into his house, and also tell us how we can support, collaborate to make sure that not only is our voices heard, but we're supporting his goals for his city, for his district, as we all continue to grow together. So without further ado, City of Detroit Council President, James E. Tate Jr.
So I made sure I wrote some things down because we want to make sure you sound presidential. Back in the day, I could just get up on the mic and say whatever now, I need the president to say something. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for allowing me to come and share this moment with you this morning. So I do want to address, so my name is on the building. I don't just go around and just like want to say, this is mine, that's mine, that's mine. I didn't do that. So this building, I was mentioning earlier, this building is actually a historic building. It's 101 years old this year. And a number of years ago, the city of Detroit, we were looking to tear this building down for parking. Because we were rehabbing the 8th precinct right next door. And I fought for it. The members of the community were saying, no, we shouldn't tear this building down, we can have members. So it originally started out as the Redford Township Hall. Initially, that was the plan for it, but this portion of the city, or this portion of this area, was Redford Township. It was annexed in the city to the city of Detroit. So now it's called Old Redford. So we fought for years to get this building rehabbed. The administration wouldn't do it. And so I put a historic designation on it, and the community was excited about it because now we had to stop and pause and evaluate if it was worth tearing something down for parking with all this history. So the mayor came out and looked at it and said, yeah, you're right, why are we tearing this building down? Fast forward 10 years to actually rehab it. 10 years, and we're here in the same space, and we thought we were just opening up the building to the community. The mayor said at the time, Doug, that he's going to recommend that this building be named after me because of the fight that we put up for it. And fast forward, a couple months later, city council as a whole, and yes, I did. I was one of the members of the 9 who voted unanimously to allow my name to go into this building. So that's how it got so I'm looking for something else. I'm letting you know right now. I'm just playing. But it was so cool to have my parents here. You know, we did a naming ceremony. My folks were here, and it was a packed house. Members of the community came. So this has been a tremendous honor. And this type of event that we have today is why we fought so hard to keep this building here. It is a community center. This is a community-related event. So again, it is truly a pleasure and honor to be here with you today. I want to recognize the Caribbean Community Service Center for the important work that they continue to do in connecting families to resources, supporting newcomers as they come and build lives here in the city of Detroit and help strengthen the social and economic fabric within our city. Their work reminds us that Detroit has always been a city shaped by people bringing their culture, talent, work ethic, and dreams from around the world. And that diversity is one of our greatest strengths. And when people feel welcomed, and when businesses feel supported, when people and communities feel seen, cities grow. That's why gatherings like this today, they matter more than ever. Networking is not just about exchanging business cards. It's about building relationships, learning each other's stories, and sharing ideas as well as creating creating opportunities that benefit the entire community. As government, we need to hear directly from them. We can't build policies in isolation and expect to get it right. There are voices in this room, like I said, that matter, and your experiences matter. Your ideas matter, and we want to make sure that the challenges that you are facing as business owners, those opportunities that you see, we want to make sure that the city of Detroit better support your success. Because when your business community succeeds, our neighborhoods become stronger. Families become more stable, and our city moves forward together. So again, thank you so much for being here this morning. Thank you for allowing me to share this moment with you as well. And thank you for investing in Detroit. God bless you all.
Thank you so much. So we're going to roll into the program. This is around business networking. And a key part of business networking is knowing how to network, right? Because it's nothing like going to an event and I'm supposed to be networking, but I don't know how to do it. So I show up with anxiety, I show up not understanding what that art looks like. How do we do it now that I'm in that space? How do I make sure I get the best bang for my buck? This one event is actually free, but a lot of times these networking sessions that you're going to, they charge you because they're using their expertise to connect you with folks that you should be connected with. So I have the absolute pleasure today of introducing a colleague. Can I say colleague? Yeah, I know him long enough to say friend, colleague, and I figure out which one works in what situation, so I don't put all his business in the street. So I'm going to turn the mic over now to Mr. Baxter E. Hall, a sales professional and speaker. He is the vice president and insurance consultant that specializes in employee benefits. He helps organizations serve their employees through creative medical plan strategies, clear education, and long-term benefits that aligns with their mission, not his company's mission. He's known for guiding employees through smart plan designs, negotiating effectively with carriers, and helping organizations maximize the value of every premium dollar spent. I don't like really to read a bio because I want him to tell us about him to make sure we represent him properly. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Hall now for him to tell his story and then teach us the art of networking.
We work so hard on those bios. We write them, and then you don't even read the thing. Seriously though, it's always weird hearing about yourself. Good morning. I am Baxter E. Hall, as Sophia mentioned, speaker, author, and employee benefits consultant with Catholic Insurance Group. I've known Sophia for, I don't know, 3-4-ish years now, and everyone always asks me the same thing. How did you get roped in? What, how fierce was the threat that she gave you when you show up to this thing? Was it a implication or was it like a full-blown, you better show up, right? I try to be as supportive as I can. I love the work that you do. I don't know how you do so much, but whenever I'm able to make myself available, I want to be here to help support and add wherever I can to the room. So thank you for having me. So the networking piece is really important to me because this is really how I built my entire business. I started in the insurance industry in 2020. I had a lot of sales experience, but not insurance experience. We thought this whole COVID thing was gonna last a couple more weeks. I went through the interview process, got hired in the summer of 2020, and they said, okay, go sell some insurance, right? But we couldn't leave the house. And so, in hindsight, it was really a blessing because I'm not a cubicle, 50 calls a day, cold call, like that's not my style, right? So I had to get creative. The first thing that I did was increase my just brand through social media, right? I spent a lot of time on LinkedIn. One of my closest family members, she's like a marketing exec, and I said, how do I get more engagement on LinkedIn? She said, it's really expensive to get engagement. She said, you can either spend thousands of dollars or you can just do this whole old school thing. And I said, okay, tell me more about the old school thing. How do we do that? And I literally just started posting, wanting to give people an idea of sort of who I was, and not just this profile picture or this, email address. That morphed into a podcast that I started in October of 2020 called Baxter's Buzz. It was something I've always wanted to do, and it was sort of a continuation of a blog that I started years and years ago. So really being able to share my thoughts, have conversations with folks online, and I felt like if people were interesting enough to me, that maybe they could add some value to some other folks. And that's really how I started. And once we were able to leave the house, I started to go to all the events like right? I started with the Southfield Area Chamber just as a member, shortly became an ambassador there, and now this is my third year as the chairman of the Southfield Area Chamber of Commerce. Similar to Alan, we talked about when you came up, right? I'm Caribbean, where do I find the Caribbean folks? I did something very similar. And I was looking for the Black insurance professionals. Well, you feel like you're on the island, but there are folks in different spaces. And there's a chapter here. It's the National African American Insurance Association. We call it NAIA. It's an association that's almost 30 years old. The Detroit chapter is 21 years old, and I have the pleasure of sitting on that board now after, again, just trying to find that community. So community is always important, representation is always important, and trying to leave spaces better than you found them. And I know that sounds a little cliche, but it's truly that simple. When your intentions are good, typically there'll be a lot of good that'll come from it. So I started this insurance business, and it's all relationships, and it's deep relationships. You're talking about the second highest cost that employers have, aside from their payroll, is their benefits. And my brown self is walking into these spaces, typically in boardrooms, and most of the folks they don't look like me, right? So how do you even get into those spaces? And that's when I wrote my second book on last summer. It's called You Get What You Give, Cultivating Your Ideal Network. I really just started showing up in spaces and wanting to figure out how I could help. Not going to see what I could sort of take. You go to these places and they ask you what you do, and if it resonates, then they're engaged. And if they say you give them a title, or they don't understand what you do or your role, they don't think it's significant enough, all of a sudden they're checking out, right? We've all felt that. People are looking over your shoulder, checking their watch, you're like, damn, you see me right here, right? But we are all multi-dimensional. We're not just the work that we do. And I think when you're able to learn more about people, you connect more genuinely, and you build a rapport that goes beyond just sort of a business card or something like regular, like what they call the 30-second like elevator pitch or elevator speech. Couple of clients that I'm bringing on right now, just as an example, one group, I met this person 4 years ago. We've been in contact, I consider them a friend. It's all about timing. I've invited them to my events, I've supported them, and then lo and behold, all of a sudden there's an opportunity to do business. But if it were just business only, that relationship would have been gone as soon because the time wasn't right. The way I look at networking and trying to really add value is like, you know how you open the door for someone and it's like just one person, right? And then they kind of hustle, they pick up the pace and you hold the door for them. And then all these people come out of nowhere. You're like, dang, now I gotta hold the door for all these folks. And eventually somebody holds the door for you. And that's how I look at the thing that I do. Is we're doing the thing for the right reasons. And then eventually there'll be an opportunity that someone will sort of return that favor. But you can't go into it looking for it. So there's an acronym that I use in the book and when I present, it's AIMS, AIMS. So what are your aims for networking? When you all are walking into a space, how many folks consider themselves like introverted when it comes to just social settings? Got a couple of hands. Introverts don't necessarily raise their hand really loud. Who considers themselves more extroverted when it comes to so there's a couple of things and I'll talk through briefly. I'll get back to the acronym, but I want to say this. Introverts typically want to have deeper conversations, right? They want to sit. They're like, oh, I met my person. We're gonna talk all night. We're gonna stand right here by the shrimp. And we gonna have a good time, right? They're not necessarily looking to meet everyone. On the other hand, the extroverts are trying to sort of meet everyone in the space. What I would say is for the introverts, instead of looking for one meaningful connection, look for 2 or 3. Just stretch yourself just a little bit. Focus more on the quantity and the quantity, not versus the quality conversations, but with just additional people. For the extroverts, focus more on the quality of the conversations, quality of the connections. And when you're in these spaces, be present. Show up in a way that people feel like they're being seen. I made the joke about people checking their phone. Sometimes we got babysitters we're waiting on. We have, we have a sick kid at home or something that we need to check. Just let folks know that, hey, by the way, if you see me check my phone. And then people don't get in their head thinking that maybe you're not interested in the conversation, right? My introverts also have a hard time exiting conversations. So they're there, but they don't know how to sort of get out of some of these conversations. Couple of tips. If you feel overwhelmed, just excuse yourself. Run to the restroom, catch your breath, and breathe, right? I know some introverts that literally have to just go to the bathroom, throw some water in their face, and kind of like reset and recharge, kind of get themselves back out there. And then the cheat code is bringing an extroverted friend with you to some of these events. Not so you can talk to them all night, but so that you can have someone to kind of guide you and get you in and out of these conversations so that you can meet additional people. For the extroverts, again, focus on the quality of the conversations. Be present in the moment and make sure that when that brain starts going, you start peeking at the door, who's walking in, that you stay engaged with the conversation. Have a clear follow-up, and then make sure that people feel seen. Do more than just exchange business cards. There's a chapter in the book that I call Life After LinkedIn, right? So you go to an event, you exchange information, you connect on LinkedIn, and then what? There has to be some intentionality around it because we are busy. I met people today for the first time. I had a life before I walked in here. Y'all had a life before you have the whole social group. So how do I welcome people or add people in my space, in my network, in my circle of influence? It has to be intentional. Coffee, a follow-up Zoom conversation, but have some intent. Reach out to these folks and let them know you remember where y'all at, and don't be afraid to put yourself out. And my rule is kind of like a rule of 3. Reach out, follow up, hey, it was nice meeting you today. If you have a calendar link, maybe share it. Hey, we'd love to get on your calendar. We can do something really quick. 15, 30 minutes at the most, so it's not intimidating for folks. If they don't respond, I always say give them 2 more chances. Sometimes people get busy. After 3, they just may not be interested, right? But that intentionality and that effort will go a long way for folks. The people that will value will really do that. In closing, I will say we're all unique. We all have our different stories. We all have our different backgrounds. Bring that with you. Show up as yourself. People talk about authenticity all the time. I want to show up as myself because I want my people to find me. I don't want to pretend that I'm someone that I'm not, because then I'm going to attract people that I don't really have much in common with. So show up as yourself. Ask questions that you would want to be asked, right? Not necessarily just the same, what do you do, but what's the story behind it? How did you land at the city? How did you land at Chrysler? Because you give people a runway to actually share some content and they become multi-dimensional as well, right? And not just a title and not just a business card. So show up comfortable clothes. You don't want to be thinking about what you're wearing, your heels, your feet hurt. You don't feel confident when you show up in something comfortable. Show up confidently, and show up with intention. Whatever your objective is, it may need to be one person, or maybe you know somebody who's going to be there and you want to schedule that meeting or get that connection. Have an objective, show up as yourself, ask questions that you want to be asked, and then just enjoy yourself. It ain't that serious. Everyone is sort of in their own head. They're not as worried about you as you think they are. Show up, be yourself, and be present. You spent the money to go to the event, you spent the time to travel, so be present. Get off your phone, get away from the shrimp cocktail, and really try to be in the space that you're in. So, I will open it up for any questions that anybody have. I just want to say thank you again for having me. It's good to see everyone. Anybody have any questions? Yes.
What was your favorite contact that you've ever made at networking?
Oh, that's easy. That's easy. Back in 2019, I was at an event in December. Didn't want to be there. But someone said, you need to come to this event. So it was the National Association for African Americans in HR. And there was a friend of mine who said, Baxter, I know you go to the other events, but you need to come. I said, yes, ma'am. So I showed up on a Friday, and I met a woman, and she said, we're looking for folks, salespeople. And I said, I wasn't interested. I said, I was polite. She said, we can teach you the business. She's now my boss. Yeah. So I met her in December of 19, again, the way God works, right? Because who knew the whole world was going to shut down? And I worked in my little job, and we exchanged information, and we had a conversation, but I wasn't interested until I was interested, and then things progressed really quickly. So that meeting changed the trajectory of my life. I can honestly say that. And so that's why I'm always excited when I walk into a room, because you just never know who you're going to meet. Anybody else? Cool, thank you.
So now for the exam. Did anybody learn anything new today? Was there anything that he said that sparked you, that makes you want to now try what he said? Fabulous. I'm not going to ask what it is. We can talk offline, okay? So thank you so much. I hope his words are enough to encourage you to network, to make sure that you put yourself out there, because can't nobody sell you like you, right? So now we're going to introduce our speaker to tell her story. So in my mind, I consider her a serial entrepreneur. She doesn't sell cereal. So like she don't do pop, what I'm calling corn pops or you know what I mean? But what she has done is opened a couple businesses. And I had the pleasure of acting as a coach through one or two of her processes. So it's my pleasure actually for her to tell you a little bit about her journey and how she has grown through the process. And also let you know that you as an individual, you don't have to be one thing. You can be many things through your life by learning how to pivot, understanding where you are, make that change to be better at what it is that you want to be. So Fanta is an entrepreneur. I met her in the community organizing space, and she's also a public health professional. So I'm trying to hear the story, how she moved from community organizing and healthcare into owning businesses, right? That'd be quite cool to hear that story. She is the founder of Fanta Jatta, I may be mispronouncing it, but she'll fix it for me. And then the Greater Detroit Cleaning Company, where she leads with a focus on quality, growth, and community impact. A proud mother of four, which is a whole different job title. She is passionate about building businesses, supporting her community, and taking on new challenges. So this is a new challenge for her, and I know you will do great at it. So without further ado, Fanta.
My name is Fanta Jatta. I stand all the way from Little Gambia. several years now in the community organizing space where I work as a community organizer and as a deputy director for the African Bureau of Immigration and Social Affairs. And my journey, this question got me thinking, right? Because honestly, and I just see the whole entrepreneurial journey as the same thing. I really started as a child, maybe 6, 7-year-old, just seeing so many women in my community back home. They'll make this millet porridge in the morning and they put it in these big pans and they will sell it, right? So the young men, the hardworking men that are going to work, maybe women that are tired, they'll just purchase it and put it in a little bag, they put in your bowl, and you purchase it. My grandmother, which I will tell you later more about her, but my paternal grandmother at the time, whose name is Madi, decided she was going to do the same thing in front of our compound. I was always with her, but what she did different, which I'm learning now to use, she stood out in that crowd because she offered not just a porridge, she decided, I'm going to add sugar for you. And I remember just like, Grandma, you're not making nothing because you're not only selling the porridge at a really cheaper price, giving bigger doses, and she was also adding sugar for you if you needed it. So everybody loved Grandma's porridge, right? I would move on to that in primary 4, grade 4. I started making what's called butterscotch as a candy. I have no idea what I was doing. This could have just been based on me seeing my grandmother just selling, and she passionately just loved selling to the community. It was not about money for her. I started selling butterscotch to my peers in the classroom. I was making my money. Every night when it's time to go to bed, I was in the kitchen just whipping up some condensed milk into this nice caramel little ball that we all enjoyed. I came over here, my main focus was, of course, as an immigrant child, go to school, get a good degree, get a great education, get a great job. I had my bachelor's in psychology, and because I was too lazy to go to nursing school. And then I decided to move on to public health from there, so you can already see where I'm going with this. So from psychology to public health, just trying to find a different route to serve my community that does not include kind of isolate me in one little setting. And during the time of the pandemic, when I graduated online, everything was shut down. Finding jobs were not easy. I ended up landing an internship with Global Virus Advisory Council, it's a huge organization. I served there and worked there for 2 years, helping local businesses and national organizations open up their spaces. So I was one of the people that looked at all of their protocol, their risk management systems, and I was the one that gave them a third person seal to say, you're safe to open up to the public. I enjoyed that. And I was doing that while serving my community here in Detroit as an immigrant woman and advocating for them in spaces that we are normally not in. I decided to start my cleaning company right before I exited that organization, right before they cut our budgets. Because they're like, we're open now, we don't need y'all, you know. So budget cuts happened. I said, I've seen the background end of cleaning companies since my time here. I can do this. I can open up a cleaning company and I can gear towards helping my community more. And again, I'm always just thinking about this community component of what I do. This can both be a great thing for you as a business owner, and it can also potentially hurt you as a business owner. And I'm still learning that lesson. But I started a cleaning company back in 2022. Very passionate. I was out there myself, scrubbing floors, doing it, and I quickly realized that was not something I want to do. I was like, okay, I love the idea. I love serving the community. Do I really have the capacity and the time right now to be scrubbing floors myself? No. And this is where creating systems came in. I'm a self-taught entrepreneur. I haven't really sat in any master classes and learned from anybody. I haven't really networked much. All of my networking was really geared towards the community organizing hat that I had on. And I would go in spaces and forget to really sell myself as a business owner. And even now I do that, where I sell myself more like, oh, I'm a community advocate. And I have to hold myself, right? So not too much on the networking part of it. I was just learning as I go. But what I learned from the get-go was creating systems and how that made my life easier. So I focused heavily on the administrative part of the cleaning company, which I heavily enjoy. I enjoy creating the systems, I enjoy creating the protocols, I enjoy creating my manuals, interviewing people, hiring people, and I learned to hire a lot and fire quick. Okay? And that's been my motto with the cleaning company. I secured some contracts, commercial contracts. I did a lot of residential cleaning when we first started, and I ended up hiring ladies that are really good at it, have done it for 15 plus years, have more experience in the business than I did, and build trust with them. And I'm still with those ladies, even though I'm not actively running the business. They are going ahead and handling all the clients while I'm handling the back end of the business. 2024, I decided to start Mani Jatta. Mani is my paternal grandma that I was telling you about. She's a business-oriented person, very fierce, very honorable lady, tall, beautiful skin, and such a kind-hearted woman. And Jatta, which also means heaven, is my mother's mother. And Jatta loves to be glamorous. She likes to dress up, all this bling bling stuff, it comes from her. She just loves to show out. But the reason why I started Mani Jatta, which started as Mani's Essentials. Mani's Essentials started as a skincare. I was doing skincare, body butters. My child had all kinds of skin issues when I started. Now I know this probably sounds like stories y'all probably hear on TikTok a lot about everybody and why they started, but my first child had a lot of reactions to medications and other issues we had. So I decided to just go back to my roots, go back to shaver. Let me try shaver and see what happens. Then I started learning, creating the formulas and what works for him in combination with other stuff. And I had people say in my family, why don't you sell it? My father was the first one. I'll buy it from you, because every time I make a batch, I give him some. So I said, okay, sure. I can make money from this, I'll do it, right? So I started making those. And I started having my clientele in the community. I didn't advertise it as much. I did not create a social media page. It was just a little thing that I did. Whenever I made a batch, I put it on WhatsApp. People wanted, and I sent it to you, right? My child is now 9 years old. 2024, I was like, man, I went to Dearborn, I went to shop. Because that's where a lot of us Muslim women here in the city go to. A lot of Black Muslim women, we don't have a shop here in Detroit where we can go and buy all our attires, combining both our Islamic identity and our cultural identity. So we resort to going to Hamkranet and to Dearborn to purchase all of our Muslim attires. A lot of times the struggle I had even as a teenager, I hated shopping because I would go buy something, my body type was not, it doesn't fit, right? I would buy a dress, it's like loose up here and tight up here. I can't win, right? The colors, the blacks, and just, we're vibrant. I'm from Africa, like, I'm colorful, right? I go up there, so my experiences just have not been pleasant overall, and I was tired of it, honestly. I discovered TikTok, I saw brands that are posting. I said, look at that, like, why can't we get that here? So I started exploring. I told my uncle that lived in Dubai, and said, hey, can you send me one box of Abayas? He's like, what do you want? I'm like, okay, just send me whatever. I had him running all around shops, sending me what I want. And I got one box, I started wearing them. I gave it to my friends, but I'm not gonna sell it to you though, okay? $35. And Mani Jatta kind of started going like that. The community started seeing what we're wearing, I started putting it on my community groups on WhatsApp. And I quickly realized that this was not just something about me or my personal individual experience. It was a shared experience among my Black Muslim community in Detroit. I decided to just keep pushing. Evidently, I kind of pushed the cleaning company a little bit on the side because I was struggling with getting those commercial contracts. Mani Jatta became my main focus because the purpose behind it I felt like was greater than me and my own individual experience. When I traveled around the city just to make sure, like boutiques here or anything. There's African boutiques that you can get like your Ankara and stuff like that. Not quite what I'm going for. I said, okay, this is needed in the community. Here I am yet again starting another business, okay? So I'm still very much scaling both businesses, still learning and rolling with the punches. But for me, I love the drive that comes with running a business. It's very thrilling for me. I love learning about products, and now I've gotten going into manufacturing, creating my own designs, creating contacts in Nigeria, Dubai, China, and it's just been an amazing journey. The frustration that comes with it sometimes, it's not too fun, but the pride is when I get to see the finished product in my house. I get the box, it's like a child waking up Christmas morning. Yes, I'm just cutting through the boxes. I want to see everything that I just created, right? And alhamdulillah, I thank God for the experiences so far. I've been able to scale my journey more than the cleaning company. But I also learned that the focus for me shifted. I was creating, and I still did create systems for my journey. But what I was missing the whole time was building relationships with people. So I talk about community a lot, but the reality is a lot of the community and the networking also happens on social media platforms. And I was really heavily missing on those platforms. I learned that I have to be on Instagram, and I learned really quickly that Instagram is not for the weak. It's gonna humble you, okay? And Instagram continues to humble me till today. As a matter of fact, when I was sitting there, I was learning to edit my video real quick and put it up, okay? But then I started falling in love with being in front of the camera, putting myself more out there, and learning that I need to create this virtual community and connection with people through storytelling. I need to tell my story. I need to share the background of what's going on. I can cry on camera because it is frustrating, okay? I'm on TikTok live, and something happens, I'm like, oh my God. I bust out in tears. But I learned that that's showing people that I'm also human. There's a human behind this, especially in this day and age where we're heavily dealing and competing with AI and creators using AI. In fact, we have people using AI to do all their marketing. It's very scary and it can be very intimidating. But I think that there's also a huge advantage for us to be able to leverage that and as a business owner learn from that and learn how to pivot with the times. So, but with that being said, I'm going to share more later. I am very grateful to be here. I've learned a thing or two about networking now and sharing my own story and learning about my audiences and learning about the people in the room. And I hope to learn from everybody else that's here as well. Thank you.
And one of the things she did mention too is that she actually did customize her attire because she works with one of our local community members that has a sewing operation in Hamtramck. So I've known your story, I've heard your story before, but it's always interesting depending on the environment or the situation that you're in as to the other things that you add to your story, right? So it's like you're retelling your story through another lens because folks are asking for that version of you. So storytelling is a very cool tool that I think everybody needs to embrace, especially when it comes to being your authentic self, to make sure that you're representing yourself in the space, especially as a business owner. Because the more authentic you get, the more people will gravitate towards you. So we're going to take a break for about 2 minutes to kind of pivot. We're going to bring our panelists up here in about 2 minutes, but we have some refreshments in the back for you to, we don't want to take none of it back with us. So there's juice, water, muffins, croissants. Yeah, so we have some French stuff, some English stuff, some American, the fried dumpling, and saltfish and ackee is not back there. Nor is there toasted there. All right? So get up, stretch your legs. We're going to put some music on for you to dance to. And we'll circle back in about 2 to 3 minutes. And then we'll set up for our panelists. Thank you again so much. Our organization, I thought she was here from the beginning. That's how much she integrated. I hate the word assimilate. She don't assimilate, she integrates and make changes as she sees fit to make sure it works for her and for us. So I want you to take the liberty of introducing yourself and then take from there.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you all so much for being here. As Sophia mentioned, my name is Yolanda Brantar. The place of my birth is Guyana, so I am from the Caribbean. And before I moved to Detroit in 2015, I lived in New York City for about 22, 23 years. So it's been an interesting journey. I do love Detroit. It has completely grown on me. Outside of all the time I spent with the Caribbean Community Service Center, in my day job, I work for the Community Development Advocates of Detroit. It's a nonprofit. I'm their Director of Member Services and Community Engagement. So all of my time in Detroit has been in community organizing and community engagement. So that was just a little bit about me. I'm happy to be a part of it. I love that there is a huge Caribbean community in Detroit, and it took me a long time to find them, almost a decade. And if you know anything about Caribbean folks, they like to say hidden, which I don't know why. But in New York City, they're not hidden. There's like little everything. There's a little Jamaica, little Ghana, little Trinidad, little everybody. So I miss that because it was so apparent there. So today, we want to talk a little bit now about how do we move from all of what we're learning for all of our businesses in terms of connecting more, capitalizing on these relationships and growing. And so I think for all of this, we can all learn something from these folks that we have here on the panel. So the way it's going to work, I'm going to introduce our panel. They shared a brief bio, and then once I do the introduction of all of them, we're going to give them a few minutes to talk about the organization they work with to support small businesses, and I have a handful of questions for them. I'm hoping you all have some questions for them as well. So it's an interactive conversation. So, and we broke the panel up into 3 areas. One, of course, is always access to capital. Everybody wants to know, how do I get money? The other part is how to do business with the city. The city actually do business with a lot of small business owners, most people think, and I think when it comes to the city, you have to be this large corporation to do business when you can be a small business. And the third, marketing. As you can tell, we did our thing for marketing for this. And we thank you all for being here, but there's only so much you can do, what you share, and you hope that you get to turn out on that. So, for access to capital, we have Dr. Theodore Jones. He's the Senior Director of Opportunity Neighborhoods with Global Detroit. He graduated with a Master of Social Work from the University of Michigan while working as a community organizer in Southwest Detroit. During that time, he volunteered on the state representative campaign. He's had various positions in government relations and campaign management. This experience allowed him to establish his own firm in Detroit, specializing in community development, engagement, and political consulting. Seeking a new challenge, he joined the Detroit Revitalization Fellowship in 2017 and was placed with Detroit Public Schools Community District. Let's see here. He also completed his doctorate in educational leadership from Michigan State University during that period. Dr. Jones joined Global Detroit in 2023 and for the 2 years led their talent initiatives programming, helping international students find job opportunities after they graduate and attract international entrepreneurs to bring their startups to Detroit and across the state. Let's see. Okay, Dr. Jones transitioned over to lead the Global Detroit's Opportunity Neighborhoods programming that includes working with small business owners to access business development and funding resources to grow their businesses. Social cohesion programming that builds stronger relationships between long-term residents and immigrant families, and home ownership programs that help community community members afford to buy a home or home repairs. Next up, we have Memphis Jackson. This is all within Capital, and he is with DEGC, which is Detroit Economic Growth Corporation. Memphis is an integrated marketing professional who specializes in transforming ideas into programs. He currently serves the city's residents through Detroit Economic Growth Corporation for Small Business Services Special Project Team. Say that as a mouthful. I know when he does his introduction, where he oversees a $2.3 million portfolio of small business programs designed to support scale the city's neighborhood level business. He previously served in similar social innovation capacities, roles at Crane's Communication Detroit Homecoming and Next Century Cities in Washington, D.C. Outside of his professional employment, he's an avid cricket fan and cyclist. Next up, we have Ashley Jackson, and she is with Prosper Us Detroit. Ashley is the Community Capital Director of Prosper Us Detroit. In this role, she supports breaking down barriers for historically excluded entrepreneurs by guiding a capital strategy and lending team. Ashley is focused on contributing to the radical growth of small business ecosystem and making an impact in a meaningful way. So those three are our access to capital speakers. Next up, in terms of navigating city businesses, we have Leonard R. Jones. He is with the Office of Chief Financial Officer, Office of Contracting and Procurement. Let's see here. For more than 8 years, Leonard has served the city with the dedication, leadership, and a strong commitment to expanding economic opportunity for Detroit residents and businesses. In his current role as Manager of Outreach, Leonard leads the city's efforts to help local and small businesses learn how to do business with the city of Detroit. He oversees a team that provides workshop, outreach events, and hands-on support to guide entrepreneurs through the supplier registration and contracting processes, and as you all know, city bureaucracy is really something. His work ensures that Detroit-based companies have clear access to information, resources, and opportunity to grow and compete. Leonard is known for building strong relationships across city departments, neighborhood, business networks, and community partners. His passion is creating pathways that help Detroit businesses not only participate, but succeed in the municipal contracting. And then last is marketing in the digital age, and we have Fanta, our business owner. Fanta is an entrepreneur, community organizer, and public health professional with over 8 years of experience in public service. She's the founder of Fanta Jatta, did I say that right? I probably butchered it. And Greater Detroit Cleaning, which leads with a focus on quality, growth, and community impact. A proud mom of 4, Fanta is passionate about building businesses, supporting her community, and taking on new challenges. Let's give a round of applause to our 5 panelists. So, what I'm going to ask each of them to do, and I'm going to just start from this end, is share a little bit about what your role is and your work with small businesses. Give you guys each of you about 3 to 5 minutes. If you can share that, and then we'll get into some questions. All right, thank you.
Hey, good morning. Fundamentally, my job is to get money out of the door. A lot of these funds are coming from public dollars. But I would say below that is, are we increasing the number of jobs being created in the city? And are we increasing the amount of revenue that our businesses are generating? So if we're not hitting those 2 key performance indicators, I'm failing at my job. And if we're not able to get the funds to businesses, we do those 2 things, and I'm also failing at my job. So that's the economic development. But of course, in a city as complex as Detroit, below that economic development sits social development. So then how do you, if your goal is to fund businesses in a city where the median household income is around $39,000 to $40,000, right, per household, then what type of businesses are you supporting? How will those businesses subsist in Detroit and also grow and expand? And so therefore, you have to get people to the point where they understand that the government wants to invest in them. They have to believe that the government believes in them, right? So there's a level of faith that that they have to have in the process as well for them to follow. Otherwise, you're dealing with a city of people who are, we call alienated and disenchanted, right? So they just watch the cars go by, but they don't feel that it's for them, right? And so part of my job is to also make sure that our work is culturally sensitive and culturally relevant, and that when they come, that they walk away with something, even if it wasn't a dollar that they walked away with, they feel that they're closer to that dollar that they're seeking to get, right? And then in the process, they understand that, money can be like gasoline for a car. If you put gasoline into a car with no engine, the car's not gonna run, right? So in addition to the capital that we're investing in businesses will accelerate the growth of a company, but in and of itself cannot grow the company. There have to be fundamentals in the business to create a strong company. Is there a product or service that people want to purchase? Can you sell that product or service at a price that people can afford in this market, right? So there's a whole number of other challenges we're going to face, and so those are some of the things we're working on. Last thing I'll say is a quick example of where we're trying to meet people where they are is for our youth entrepreneurship program. We understood that it was irresponsible to ask for somebody who's early in their economic journey to just jump into a 2 to 5 year lease. And that's the paradigm in the church right now. And so it adds a ton of a hurdle to a small business who's looking to scale the actual business model. Before they can get there, they have to pay loans, they have to pay rent, but they don't necessarily have a solid customer base or value proposition yet. And so we're launching a supported retail program for 52 weeks, where 8 entrepreneurs between the ages of 18 to 30 will be able to actually actualize their value proposition, make sales without having that burden of rent that's due every 30 days. And so that's, again, how do we make our program culturally relevant? We actually think beyond just the current paradigm and say, how do we use the funding that we have to do more?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Tate Jr. I am Senior Director of Talent Initiative of Opportunity Neighborhoods at Global Detroit. The work that we do at Global Detroit is we pursue economic development through immigrant inclusion. As my role leading the Opportunity Neighborhoods team, what we do in our small business development team is, I think our flagship program is our Trusted Connections program, where we actually have this year 3 Trusted Connectors that interface directly with small businesses. We have about 100 already in our network, and we look to add about 5 to 10 new businesses per connector per month. So with that, what we do is we try to assess exactly where that small business is in their growth cycle. Are they early stage? So what we do is we offer support on helping them to create a business plan or get their law license, etc. For later stage small businesses, what we do is we try to connect them with funders. And a part of that is also making sure that they have all the resources that they need to be capital ready. So making sure that all of their paperwork is in order, tax forms, financial statements, tax statements, etc. And what we like to think of ourselves as that connective tissue, so that once they're ready for funding, they have as barrierless as entry as possible to be able to access funding. And we also explore ways that small business owners can explore brick and mortar opportunities as well. So in 2024, we actually partnered with I'm blocking on it. We have an opportunity for 10 owners to be able to actually explore opportunities with a space that is a brick and mortar space. It'll come to me, and I'll probably say it later. All right. So thank you very much.
Assalamualaikum again. My name is Fanta, and I am the owner, founder, marketing director, sales director, everything for my
A little bit about what I do, and as it relates to the mission of Prosperous, so I'm going to give a little bit of background before I got there. Years ago, I used to work for a traditional bank, American Bank, as an underwriter, and what I noticed there was that a lot of the, maybe 95% of their customer base did not look like me or look like my community or didn't reflect, the city that they operate in. So eventually I transitioned into the community development financial institution space, or CDFI for short. And the first one that I worked at, their mission was helping you get there. So helping you get from this more grassroots organization to the say, big leagues, if you will. And so I found myself at Prosperous, and I kind of fell in love with that mission, providing capital to entrepreneurs who may not otherwise have access. But I think in conjunction with that, we also, a big piece of what we do is providing that financial literacy gap, because even if we give someone money, or not give, loan someone money, right? If someone doesn't know how to handle it properly, we're really just adding another burden onto them. And so I would say one of the capstone projects that we have going on would be our community catalyst loan, which is a nano loan of $2,500 to $5,000. But basically, it's a believing you loan. It's minimal underwriting. It's more or less you tell us you have a business idea, and while you're working on that business idea, we team you up with a financial wellness coach to just make sure you understand how money works, how capital works, how you use it to your benefit, and then get you into that muscle memory of repaying back the loan. But then it also further builds the relationship as you grow into larger amounts of capital. So Prosperous is usually a business owner's first stop. We only go up to about 50,000, but we have relationships with many other CDFIs in the ecosystem. There's upwards of 200, 300, but we'll get there. But yeah, I really enjoy the work. I really enjoy kind of that pathway, and that is essentially what we do.
Good afternoon, everyone. How many business owners do we have in the house? You guys have EIN numbers?
EIN numbers?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Just one There you go. So, my name is Leonard Jones. I'm a procurement manager with the City of Detroit at the Office of Contract and Procurement. And I guess I can say that I was an entrepreneur before I got this position, so I do understand all the different hats entrepreneurs wear, the different transitions you make, the journey on your entrepreneurship. So that kind of helps me in my position here. And it also helps me as an outreach manager to get in front of you guys, to get material information to you, to help you become bid ready. The city functions really differently than a lot of other entities. Areas of governmental oversight, there's a lot of compliance and documentation that you have to have. So that's why I asked who is business owners, because you got to be serious about business when you come to the city. We're not the grassroots, so to speak. We're to scale up. We're here to help you scale your business up, give you an opportunity to get larger. Once you accomplish some core businesses and clients and start to develop yourself administratively, and also understanding the insurances and being compliant with a lot of the business documentation that we ask for, do tax clearances and all different things of this nature. So we're here to help you scale. Okay, the city, my department alone, we do over 1,400 contracts a year, 9,000 purchase orders, and about $1.5 billion come through with my outreach coordinator. Just think about it. It's her birthday today, so happy birthday. She's my right hand. So we basically do a lot of business with people in the city and statewide. We want to do more business here in the city. We have a charge by city council to get Detroiters business, to get Detroiters contracts, to get local Detroiters. So one of our sister programs that hang out with us all the time, she's leading to, that's Kara from Creole. how many people have heard of CREO, the Civil Rights Inclusion and Opportunity Department? Great. Get certified through them because there is a Detroit base, Detroit headquarters, Detroit small business certification that you can have, which allows you to get equalization credits, right? So when we're evaluating your submission or response to a bid, it gives you an advantage with giving you points to your score and also giving you equalization credits to lower your bid. It's because you're a local Detroiter, you're in Detroit, and you're helping us to build property taxes, income taxes, and a whole ecosystem of circulating money. We really want to do this, but you guys got to be administratively prepared to work with the city. So I'm here to get you guys bid ready, to help you kind of flow and navigate through those things that you call difficulty, red tape, bureaucracy. I'm here to help you guys get through it as best as possible. So just ask me any questions, come see me in the back with some pamphlets I have for you guys to get bid ready.
All right, I'm gonna let you hold on to that microphone. So now I'm gonna ask them a handful of questions, so I want you all to think about yours as well. And so in terms of navigating city system, what would you say is the most common challenge that entrepreneurs face when working through city process? This is like, you're talking about all of these things and you're looking for folks, but what are some of the most common challenges?
The most common challenge is being registered. You have to get registered to do business with the city. We have a new e-bidding platform called Bonfire. I have some documents in the back that I want you guys to get registered in Bonfire. That's how you get all our solicitations. And you also would, in creating your Bonfire, your company profile, you would select your commodity code. That's basically what service you provide and what good you provide. So when that solicitation comes out, it'll notify you via email an invitation to bid, and it'll give you the scope of work and everything that you need, the minimum qualifications, and what the department is looking for the service and good that we're looking to buy from you. So one of the biggest challenges is being registered with Bonfire. Second is being registered in Oracle. Oracle is how we pay you. It's our contract management system and how you invoice, how you upload your invoice for payments. So navigating through those two systems to get registered on two platforms is probably one of the biggest challenges. We do have our e-procurement team that can walk you guys through that. You can get on a Teams meeting with them. They can navigate right through your shared screen to show you how to do that. The second thing is identifying your core mission. What is your target? What is your actual product that you're selling? Because I see some people, they just jump. They bid one week, they're bidding on IT services. The next time they bid on janitorial services. They didn't want to bid on uniforms, police uniforms. So you have to get your niche. You have to understand pricing structures too. Because if you get in and you overbid, you're not never gonna bid because you overbid. You're trying to get too much money too soon. Okay, the second thing is you underbid, meaning you can't keep the prices structure you gave us in your bid. So now we don't want to terminate your contract because you can't fulfill the obligation and then you lost the loan payment that you got from Prosperous or the PT. And we don't want that. So we don't want to ruin your business, we want to scale you. So we're kind of like the pros. You have high school, you have college, and you have pro. The city of Detroit, you want to go pro. Okay? But you got your elevation from and your scalability has been touched. You know what you're doing when you come to us. And those are the challenges that people have. And I just want to help you guys navigate those challenges.
All right, thank you, Leonard. Pass it to Fanta. I'm going to ask a question around marketing in this digital age. What would you say is the most valuable social media platform right now for like a small business, like yourself and in that realm? Is we know the power of social media.
Yeah, thank you. First I want to say I'm definitely going to see you. Right now I would say Facebook. If you're local, Facebook is your go-to. And I say that because Facebook it's been here longer before TikTok or Instagram, even they created Instagram eventually. But Facebook was where we were at. And so there's a lot of local presence, community groups. For example, you might have like Hamtramck will have different subgroups that will create those community groups where they go for the biggest thing about learning social media and seeing which platform works for you is knowing your own market and your niche, because different platforms are more suitable depending on the type of business you're doing. So if you own a boutique, if you own maybe like a service provider business, Facebook will be great because people often go there looking for recommendations from their neighbors, from their community members, and they read about people's experiences with said business, so then they will determine if they are going to give you their money, right? Versus if I own like clothing brand or beauty shop or do like modeling and I want to build a portfolio, Instagram is where I want to go, because Instagram will help you create that brand identity, and it's going to help you get like more polished look for your brand. So it is important to know your niche and your market, and then also know where your audiences are, what's present. But for local businesses in the city, it is important to have a huge presence on social media, on Facebook first, and then kind of transition your way to TikTok, because TikTok is very raw. Whereas Instagram is polished, people don't care. TikTok, they want to see your business, they want to see you, they want to see you opening your shop, they want to see you cleaning, they want to hear about your story. You can get a lot of online support from TikTok that you can hopefully convert and direct to your own website, in addition to getting people from Facebook to also come and shop with you locally.
Thank you, Fanta. All right, so we are going to switch and talk a little bit about access to capital. These are our next three folks. I think you all, three of you at some point touched on what's currently available. So what would you say at this point, if I'm a small business, what would be something I can apply for? Like currently available, funding opportunities. You can just share a little bit of details. All three of you, if you have one, if you don't, at the moment for your respective organizations.
Right, well, one area where we, as a practice, send our small business owners to funding opportunities. NEI created a small business resource navigator, and that is mismallbusinesshelper.com. There they can get tailored assistance that matches their exact needs. And if you navigate on that website, there are funding growth opportunities page that lists up-to-date upcoming programmings and financial assistance opportunities. So I'm happy to stick around, and I will get that website later, but as a best practice, that's where we tell our small businesses to go to look for opportunities.
We always have applications open. You can apply anytime, today, tomorrow, next year. I'll just kind of just re-emphasize that community catalyst nonprofit. And so it is designed for, you can use it for business purposes, right? But oftentimes people will utilize their personal funds, right, to fund their business, at least in the beginning. And then I think one of the misconceptions is, my personal credit doesn't matter when I'm seeking business funding. When in actuality, it's a big first look or first item that we look at. So a lot of people use the community capitalist loan funds to handle or pay off some of their personal debts to then better position themselves when they are going for that larger amount of funding. But the application is always open. Community Catalyst is always open. We actually just had a program that passed called Plan to Profit, where everyone who's accepted to the program, who was accepted to the program, will receive the Community Catalyst loan, but they also get to take 3 one-on-one coaching sessions with our financial wellness advisor, and then also there's 3 sessions in the cohort, 3 weekly sessions, where just sometimes we realize people struggle filling out the application. They just need any help navigating that and understanding what does terms mean or amortization mean, and just kind of really breaking it down at that granular level. But we can take applications, Prosperous, Detroit, Ballard. Oh, there we go.
Who in here can tell me the scientific method? Who remembers the scientific method from school? Are we have an engineer here? Engineer something? What's your name and the scientific method?
I'm Simon from Tobago, Simon Tobago. It's basically a 6 to 7 step process depending on who you ask. For my hypothesis, testing hypothesis, and for conclusions, basically.
Absolutely. So the 7 steps are observation, research, hypothesis, test, analyze, report conclusions, and then repeat the observation again. The reason I went through that process is business is a social science, right? Is there a business there? Do you have customers? I think so often people look for funds before they have a business. They don't know the thing that they think will sell will sell. More importantly, is it repeatable, right? Because that was a one-off, that was an auntie, right? That was your neighbor, they bought it for you because that's, they try to help you out. But is there actually supply and demand there, right? And then that's the supply side, right? The thing that you're purchasing, can you get it at the same price or is there a lot of price fluctuation? So I say that just to say that make sure you have a business when you're going for funding. Sometimes you can luck out and get a grant or get a loan and there's no business there. But systemically, that should not be the case, right? We should not be investing taxpayer dollars into companies that aren't really companies. They're a company in terms of their legal entity, but there's no business there per se. It's not a scalable model of any sort. And so from a lender standpoint, you maybe a lender will give you money knowing that, hey, we're going to get repayment back anyway, so it's up to them if they want to take our money and there's no business there. But many of them don't want to just give out loans to businesses that aren't going to be successful either, right? They want to, A, get repaid, B, they don't want to put you in a bad financial situation. So that's just my soapbox there. It's about to be, we have some funding coming out. I was going to jokingly say it's going to be money season, but so we have 3 grants opening within special projects in the fall. We have the Detroit Startup Fund. Those are $15,000 grants and $50,000 grants in August for technology-based companies. So you need to have hardware or software that is scalable. Okay, so if you, and it has to be exponentially scalable. So if you are a bakery, you are not exponentially scalable. In order to make more bread, you have to add more employees. You have to buy more flour. If you have a algorithm-based software, or you're a manufacturer, right? You can use robotics, or you can use an algorithm to add output without having to add input on a proportionate basis. So that's very important. A lot of people will say, well, I have a website or I have a mobile app, but the business model itself is not scalable exponentially. That's the startup fund. We have the next 313 grant. Those grants are smaller, so they start at $1,500 and they go up to $10,000. And those are for business owners who are 18 to 30. The $1,500 and the $3,500 grants are for Detroit residents of that council district. So it's not just a matter of being a Detroit resident, you have to be a resident of that district. So we're allocating each round at least 2 grants per district. Because we are very diligent about how we disperse funds, if the district doesn't have qualified applicants in the first round, we said, hey, we're going to take the 2 grants and they're an extra grant, and we're going to allocate it to the next round. So for example, District 6, like I have to do a serious push for Council District 6 because we have 4 grants for District 6 that we have to allocate this next round. Whereas District 2 or District 1 will only have 2 grants for round 2. And then we have our $5,000 and our $10,000 grants, those are at large. So you could be a suburban resident, but you have to have a business that's operational in a brick and mortar space in the city of Detroit, right? If you're not one of those, if you're not that, then you have to be a resident to get a $5,000 or $10,000 grant. And then lastly, we have the Detroit Legacy Business Project. All of these 3 applications open in August, so we're trying to do as much of a push now in May and June, so that by the time August comes, people are like scrambling. Very similarly to the Startup Fund grant, Detroit Legacy Business Project grant, those grants are at $5,000, $15,000, and $50,000. You have to be a 30-year-old business. You need to be 30 years in a physical location in the city of Detroit. So it's quite difficult to stay in business for 30 years in Detroit in a physical space open to the public. But for those who can prove that, I would say that the biggest hurdle we may face is the documentation process. A lot of people have very informal business processes, and that makes it hard for us to analyze that business. So as early you can in your business cycle, pay your taxes, you know, make sure you're keeping good books, right? Keep your books clean, don't commingle funds, because those habits will persist for years, and then before you know it, you're not able to access the procurement opportunities. So.
Pass it to Jeanette. I wanted to ask this question. I hear a lot around what the access thing, making sure you understand what your business is about, what your niche. You talked about paperwork. What would you say, you know, at Prosper Us and all of these different opportunities? What are, if there's one or two other common reasons why business gets denied funding and how they can avoid it? So I'm hearing some consistency. All five of you shared about know what your business is. Whether you're marketing it, whether you're going out for contracts or funding, whatever, there's consistency there. So is there anything else you would add that businesses need to understand why they can get denied?
I would say number one, it really is the paperwork. Getting that paperwork together is so important. Filing your taxes, working with an actual accountant oftentimes, because I think a lot of business owners and people, even myself, are like, okay, this is how much money I made, this is how much money I spent, this is how much money I got left over. I should be able to qualify, you know. But that's just one layer of it. There's accounts receivable, accounts payable, your balance sheet, statement of cash flow, and Prosper does help you also obtain those things. We have technical assistance grants where we'll pay the service provider to complete these things for you. But oftentimes people will walk in the door assuming that they are ready and I have this contract, so I need this money now, today. And it's like, well, when was the last time you filed your taxes? And they're like, well, what does that have to do with anything? So I would say paperwork is such a big thing. I would say the second thing is, I kind of mentioned it before, or alluded to it before, is just being in a good space personally, right? Because that is ultimately a reflection of how you handle, you know, things even on the business side. And that's the first thing we do is pull your personal credit. And though we don't say yes or no based off a score, we're much more relation-based or character-based, as we call it. If it's really bad, then, you know, it's like, well, we have to start a little sooner. Let's work on this. Let's pay this off. Tell me, how do we get to, you know, such a rough space? And why do we think a business is going to solve that problem? Outside of that, I would say understanding that the process takes time. So a lot of people will come, apply, and if they don't, you know, their answer, I mean, we're not a traditional bank. We don't necessarily move at the speed of light. So just being responsive and cooperative and making sure you're answering them, responding to those emails, responding to those phone calls. Like I said, it's relationship based. So if the relationship is rocky, even sometimes that hinders how much someone will advocate, even when things aren't looking so good. But personal credit, paperwork, and response, I would say, would be the reasons why we say no.
Okay, thank you. My next question is for Leonard. How can, as we're talking about this, you got all of this all together. You got the paperwork, you're ready. How can a small business really advocate for themselves, navigating this process and being seen? Because again, you guys are getting all these contracts. We know how important relationships are, these networking opportunities. So how can a small business, they're all good, everything is clean, get noticed, get seen, to be able to get on?
Well, I would say that relationships create visibility, and visibility creates opportunity. So as you come to these outreach meetings, we do 12 outreaches for our Detroit supply schedule in each district. So you come to those meetings, you get a little nugget here and there, you learn a little bit more. I get to see you, so you get to see procurement professionals face to face, you get to interact. And you may have a business that I've been looking for someone to bid on. I'm struggling with getting 3 respondents, and here you come at one of these meetings. outreach to you and say, hey, I have this business that does X, Y, and Z. I say, hey, I'm looking for someone. Or I may tell you about a traditional procurement that we do every year, and that's exactly what you do, youth development program. And I had quite a few people at the Creole cohort yesterday who does youth development program. And by them being there and introducing themselves to me, I was able to tell them about our round next year that they can get involved in. So that visibility of being here and interacting with professionals really do help. Also, we do debriefings. If you do submit a bid and you want to advocate for yourself, you want to learn more about what was it about me that only scored these many points, or what I need to do to get better. Procurement specialists will sit down with you and give you a debriefing and kind of tell you exactly where you missed out on some things. Minimum qualifications are very important. So that's why you want to learn more when you're out here and you can talk to someone like myself or the panel here. It all helps you to advocate for your business, and building those relationships are very important. We do pre-bid meetings. I tell people, come to the pre-bid meeting. If you're looking at an RFP or RFQ and you quite don't understand everything, we have pre-bid meetings that you can jump on Zoom or on Teams and get more information directly from the department. And then we start becoming familiar with seeing you when every time you submit a submission, you're marketing yourself. You talk about Facebook and Instagram. If you submit bids and we keep seeing your name come up, we say, wow, they're getting stronger. They're developing, they're going to some technical assistance. They're getting some help here. They're learning their business better, because any contract that's $50,000 or more, you have to have 3 years of financial statements. So that's because we've been having companies who get bids and can't financially handle the contract. So now we're looking at financial statements to make sure that you won't go insolvent in year one of giving you the business. We don't want to ruin your business. We're trying to help you scale up. So advocate by showing up to these events. Advocate your business by talking to a procurement specialist. See you later. Advocate by getting debriefed when you submit an RFP or response and you don't know how well you did. Advocate for yourself.
Thank you. I have a question for Fanta. What would you say? A lot of folks look at the website. So how important is it to having a website versus using social media? Do you use an extra both? Do you lean one way or the other? What would you say?
I have to go get my notes. I would say what I noticed is that the strongest of the most successful businesses use a blend of both. Social media, if you know how to use it properly and strategically, could essentially be what really pushes your business out there on a greater and larger scale. So start with social media first, right? A lot of times I also notice people will create websites. You have a website, but I think somebody mentioned it earlier, is knowing your business first and having an actual business before you go asking for funding. It's the same thing, like you're on social media or you create a website already, because a lot of times you come up with a business idea, like, oh yeah, I can do this, especially if it's something that you feel like is easily manageable. You can be quick to create a website and you spend so much time working on the website, making it look pretty. Well, how do you get people on that website, right? How do you get traffic to that website? So the focus has to kind of shift to, now I've had my business idea, I have the systems, or at least I started something, and I know that I can scale this business realistically. Now I need to go find my audience, and my audiences are on social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, right? Depending on what you're doing, if you're doing coaching, having lessons, then LinkedIn, more professional stuff. But you want to focus essentially on creating your impact and creating your brand identity and making yourself visible and known to your community and to folks that are on social media platforms. You don't limit your vision or your reach to only people in your community, in your state, or in your city. Because social media is so big, billions of people use it every single day, right? So when you create content, when you put out your business and put yourself out there, think about the people. even internationally, who might take up an interest in what it is that you offer. You might get people that order your items internationally, right? And even if you haven't thought about that before, it is essential to be realistic when you create your social media pages. Be authentic. Do not heavily rely so much on trying to sound like everybody, trying to use AI to create everything for you. Though it's very easy and very tempting to just click a button, just say, hey, this is what I want to do, and click a button and have AI create your prompt, right? It is not natural. I tried it. Like, I'm gonna use a prompt and I'm gonna read it and record a voiceover. And I learned quickly that it does not sound like me because I'm reading something. And if you can watch your own content and video and you're like, oh, I don't know. Think about the audience that you're reaching. If you feel in yourself that you don't sound authentic in talking about your own product, you might not be reaching the people that you need to reach. So you're going to have the missed opportunity. Whereas if you put yourself out there authentically and very raw, don't worry about all the aesthetics at first. Because you spend so much time worrying about the aesthetics, you're going to miss the big picture. Worry about it right now. It's not as glamorous as we see successful businesses on social media. The reality is it's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. So I'm at a phase now where I'm trying to use social media, TikTok, Facebook, not Facebook myself, but Instagram and TikTok. And I'm trying to say to myself, how do I now stand out and how do I convert these 500 followers that I got? How do I push my reach to get thousands of followers this year? And how do I convert them to sell? There are ways that you can make your content where you will be enticing those people to click or remember your website so that they can go there. Learn the rules that come with each of the platforms, but don't overdo it, right? Don't try to manage 5 different platforms at the same time. You're going to make a lot of mistakes, and oftentimes you're going to get overwhelmed and you will probably try to give up. So if you choose Instagram and TikTok, stick with Instagram and TikTok. And you can use the same video, maybe change a little bit how you edit them for the messaging based on the kind of audience you have in there, and then try to push them to your website. So instead of saying, follow for more, maybe you can ask them to go to your website to see more, right? If you launch a product, you can ask them to go to your website to see more of the other colors, more of the other variations that you have to offer, instead of just having them link to that Instagram. The most important thing to know about this is your website is where you have control. When you are on the social media platforms, you don't have control, you don't have algorithm, you don't want anything on there but your little profile. So what you want to essentially do is divert that attention from that platform to your own platform, create an email list, find other ways to reach your people once they get to your website, and find other ways to keep them while they're on your website and they're going to remember. If I want to buy it, I'm going to go to manijana.com and go get what I like. Right? So that's what we do.
Great. I appreciate all of your thoughts around these particular areas as it relates to small businesses. But I don't want to be the only one asking questions. I know I thought I saw your hand. Did you have a question? We'll take a couple questions.
From the government office, the procurement office, that's 3 years of personal business history before you look at them as a possible partner, or is it?
Yeah, and generally those contracts are much larger. The 50,000 are the contracts that city council approves. Anything that's 50,000. So we most definitely want to see 3 years of your business financial statements. Generally your balance sheet, your profit and loss statement, your liabilities, and your assets. So we want to do that just to see that you're financially capable and can handle the contract. The contract may be multiple years, whatever, and a lot of times the city, we don't pay upfront, we don't pay deposits, we don't pay material costs, we don't do any of that. We basically give you, if you have the Creole certifications as a small business, we'll give you immediate pay or 5 pay, but generally it's net 30 payment. The city got really good at getting people paid in a short period of time now. So that's the thing. you have to be able to put out before you receive that check back. We don't want to, in the process, put you under.
I appreciate that. Any other questions? Any of the folks that say they're small business, it looks like you have a question. Yeah.
So, everyone outside from turn out to be what I always so this is my third week of the intro. Actually, as part of the business exchange program, so I'm a very founder. One of the things when I was listening to the panel, which is of course important regardless of the type of businesses, sometimes you don't have the documentation, but this specific, like in my experience, right? So coming to the US to be an immigrant founder, so the State Department, for example, they would have selected a group of us to come in and sponsor everything. But they told us up front, don't ask us anything, we're not helping you, unless it's like death, don't come to us. You kind of have to figure out everything. But sometimes like, you don't know what you don't do, so there's a process. You have a day-to-day business, but then you have the process of actually trying to figure out almost the things that you need to do, right? So the question, for example, the partner mentioned wanting to attract new businesses and growing businesses that will create jobs. So how do you help these new businesses, especially in my case, where I'm a startup founder, not necessarily a traditional type business that's not in the technical sector. So how do you bridge that gap between being new in an environment where you don't know anyone as yet, and you have to figure out a lot of the usual doing business in the city?
Well, go ahead. No, that's
Well, I'd love to talk to you afterwards. So our programming is, directly for business owners in your situation. We connect you with a technical assistant, and they take you through everything that you need to know regarding, scaling up your business, as well as, take you through a capital readiness checklist. For instance, if you're ready to ask for additional capital. One thing that we try not to do, we try to be that connected tissue. So we don't want to set small business owners up where they're going to a funder and they're having, key components that are missing, or not even having a business strategy and idea really fleshed out. So that's why we want to connect small business owners with a technical assistant to really help out those needs. And also, with what I'm hearing from you, there may be even some other programming at Local Detroit that you would be the candidate for. We have a global entrepreneurs residence program that works with startups, especially in the office.
And I'll just really quickly, I have double checked with the program is really funded for this fiscal year, but there's also the tax fellows program that the DGC manages where they pay $2,000 a month for folks to relocate to Detroit to also help them sustain. So we have a technology company, they also provide funding as well. So I'll find out if it's still in motion. And then Move Detroit has given grants. They've given grants to existing Detroiters to stay. I don't know what the grant is honestly, so I can't speak to this much. They also have given grants to relocate to Detroit as well. And there's also the homeowner down payment assistance program also, which if you are buying a home in Detroit, that's a $25,000 assistance to help you with the down payment on home. So, and again, obviously there's process about how do you make sure that stuff is also accessible to people who live here already, but also, if they want to live, maybe push to attract and increase this population. So, I think OCP.
No, I was going to say the Detroit ecosystem have a great technical assistant that all these companies give out and say, we're not going to do the technical assistant part in the city. When you get to us, you better know what you're doing. You better know how to shoot a jumper. You got to know how to run, power, you got to learn the schemes. You got to know some things when you come approaching the city. So these guys do an excellent job at technical assistance. I think that's one thing doing these panels and coming to the events and networking. Technical assistance in the city of Detroit is probably top notch. So just by you being here, you're stepping in you're in the right place. You're gonna get a couple people numbers here that's gonna take you to the next level, connect you to this organization, this one. So you're in the right place.
You got Sophia, because I do want to wrap it up. Yeah, Sophia.
To his point, when an immigrant first comes to the city of Detroit, is there a website? Should we be looking at the city of Detroit to really find out where there's opportunities to learn how to start a business? Because a lot of immigrants come here with a hustle mindset, right? Back home, this is how we start a business, this is how we run our business. So we come here, we do the same thing. So we're never really doing good, but we're running a business and we make money. So how or where, for example, would my organization tell an individual, even market to our community, if you're looking to start a business, go to cityofdetroit.gov or go to stateofmichigan.gov, where would be their entry point into resources like that?
I mean, I would say that is that I think one of the challenges of this vertical system is that sometimes it can be translation for and sometimes you just get people get passed off and they're like, I'm not making any money, I'm going to all these meetings after work, or I'm taking buses like this done to the bus to get here, and I'm losing time, I need to make money. So one thing that we started with is making was an online course so that folks can have a self-guided and a value proposition to VC and DSWD, like what are the things you need to know before to operate legally in the city. And also thinking and we're adding modules around accounting as well. Like at least log your time, right? Because if you know you have to one day pay somebody to do that work, then how would you know how much to pay them? Log your time. Save your receipts, log your receipts into Excel, right? And make it organized. Because the things you do early on, right? You play any sport, right? Most sports, being good at it is like inches of extra things you do well, right? The fundamentals. So at least teaching immigrants who come here, and not only know this, like, this is good. The whole thing is people know, right? It's just some habits, right? Scan your receipts, log stuff into Excel, right? Create a tracker, right? Without a tracker, it's hard to assess and analyze how you use companies, so don't come empty-handed. I would say that online course is something that we want to scale. I want to get into the public libraries because, it's the same video content, we just have to repackage it to the branding, but make it so that and then get it into Spanish and French at least, in addition to other languages, so that people can know this offering before I go to another meeting, what can I learn inside of the house?
So in other words, I can send it to the Detroit Economic Growth Corporation's website as an entry.
They're going to send it to me eventually, unfortunately.
Yeah, but I mean.
But yes, right now, a lot of small business inquiries that are not overseas match specific, or they're funneling to me, and we're trying to. That's what happens, yes. And then
because if I mean, for example, us sharing our information, like for example, when we start sharing the information about this particular thing, I want to be able to say, or my staff be able to say, if you're looking to start a business in the city of Detroit, here is where we suggest you go first. The city of Detroit, Economic Growth Corporation, you can start there. Or I can say, Prosperous has this program, you can start with Prosperous. Or I can say, Global Detroit has this program, you can start with Global Detroit. We're looking for an entry point, but then to kind of understand what's going on and then pick what works for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, political-wise, I'll say DetroitMI.gov, which is the city's website, because all the council people love to take the pictures of these organizations doing great things with business owners. So that'd be a great resource as we go and just look at all the ops, the photo ops, the stories about it, Detroit, the Motor City Match, all these organizations, they do great things in the cities and in the districts. This council people take notice of that. So you can just go and just kind of navigate through the city's website and find so many different organizations. Like I heard of you guys, through, our acquaintances and everything at the city. So you guys are gonna pop up on the website doing something great in this district as well. So economically, political, and just resources, the city DOT has a great website for that. So that's DetroitMI.gov.
Thank you. That answers the question. All right, so we'll take one more question. Wayne?
Okay, so this question I'm asking is for the benefit of people who might not be here and review the videos and not get benefit. So the presence of social media was mentioned and the importance of that. And yes, I totally agree with that. For individuals who may not be social media savvy or even those that may be social media savvy, what are some of the best practical tips that you would offer or resources that you would recommend that to help them maximize their results and build an effective online presence? And also, are there anything services, tools or professionals you recommend investing in? And from your experience, what trends do you recommend as far as worth it, not worth it, so on and so forth?
That's a good question. First, I would say, if it comes to just, I'm thinking about it from my community standpoint, right? A lot of people have business ideas for businesses, but they don't really know how to navigate social media. Sometimes it's a literacy issue, maybe. Get someone that can help you with that, but chat about it. If you're just having difficulty because getting on social media or being on camera is kind of intimidating for you, I say practice in front of your mirror, record yourself, hear yourself on your own phone, talking, talk about anything to yourself on that phone, right? Then gradually kind of go and talk about your business, be comfortable speaking about your business. If you own a product though, one of the easiest ways that you can blend in well is being on TikTok, right? TikTok shop is a big thing nowadays. Millions of people are doing TikTok shop, selling every day, having people that don't necessarily even have like a business plan or structured business, but they are selling someone else's product, sitting on their couch and just talking about the product. Maybe it's a product that you use yourself, right? And you don't even necessarily have followers. So TikTok did put their bars down a little bit because they wanted the people on their platform and selling on their platform. Because of that, a lot of the requirements before in terms of how many followers you needed before you can go TikTok live, before you can go in and sell, collaborate with brand owners, is no more. So you can literally have zero following and you can build a little TikTok shop and start making revenue right away. The easiest thing or the best thing that I can give someone that's going to start on TikTok Live, because I believe that if you use TikTok Live to build that confidence in front of camera, being able to speak to your audiences, you can transition easily and easier into a more polished place and build that brand image, which is Instagram. So, number one tip on TikTok, it can be very intimidating when you start your video and you go live and you're like, what do I do? There's nobody to do. You know, it says 0 people. If you need to cover that up, go get a little page, cover that number one. Okay? And act like there's 1,000 people watching you. Because the more you try to focus on how many people are watching, you will be very intimidated. You will not want to do that again. I've been there. My first time, I was like, that's like, keep going, right? And then I tried again. Oh, assalamualaikum. There's one person in the building. Okay, my name is Mustafa. And I'm like, oh man, this thing is tough, right? It's tougher sometimes than speaking in front of a room full of people. Because you can actually see their faces. You know they're there. But the reality is that algorithm is going to pick up on your engagement. If you need to tap that screen yourself, tap. Another tip, create another account. There's no shame about it. Create another account that's not related to your business. Maybe it's a personal account. You should have to anyway, right? You should have your own personal account. Also have a business account. Do not use your business account and start posting about your life or your dating, whatever. Don't do that. Because you want people to come to your page and immediately know what you're giving. So separate yourself. When I say separate yourself, in your daily life, your ones from the business page, you don't want to flood that. I don't like it when I go to people's pages because I'm looking for your product, but I can see you posting food that you made last night. Right? So it really takes, you can take it away. Focus on creating your business image shorts and all of that, right? They want it easy, quick, and present. So go in there as many times as you can. In the beginning, it's tough. It serves right to create a schedule and try to not overdo too many platforms at the same time. If you really want to be successful, maybe start with one. Be confident in using that one. Learn how to navigate that one. Learn how to polish your videos, how to speak about your product and all of that. And then transition and go to another platform. And find a way to connect to that. And make sure your audience make a connection between the two. Another important tip is when you use or create your profiles, stick to the same thing. Don't have Money Dana 2.0 here and Money Dana 1.0 here, right? Make sure that you are branding the same way across all platforms and even across your website, which means the font size that you use, the color palette that you use, how you communicate your messaging needs to be unified across all platforms to make it easier for your audience to really know you, but also to stand out. So when people see that, they know that that's what it is. So yeah, I don't know if I'm missing any part of your question, but
I think you covered it. So we are at the end of our panel discussion. I want to thank you guys so much for joining us and being a part of turn it over to Sophia. She is going to close us out. Again, thank you guys so much. This is super helpful information. You were on camera, so you want to share so folks can learn from it. So thank you.
Thanks again to the panelists for participating. We wanted to take the opportunity also for us to find out about their, where you can follow them and so on and so forth. So we're going to use the rest of the time to connect with them to get their handles and their websites and all of that kind of stuff. But I'm going to use the opportunity to sell businesses. So ours is very simple. It's our name. And if you're looking for fun stuff on TikTok, you need to follow her. So I have watched her grow over the years and just so impressed with where she is today, right? So if you know anything about TikTok, I see her stuff, I was like, I don't know what she could be talking in front of the audience. That's okay. So we have a scan right there. You can follow us on all social media platforms. We're not on TikTok. That's too much work for me. But I am personally on TikTok. So our IG page, our website, and how to get in touch with us, a little bit about the work that we do is right there. We also do a storytelling session as a podcast on YouTube, and I will be reaching out to you all to interview. He's actually done it, and he did very well, so that's Baxter. So there's a couple events that are coming up that I want you guys to hear about to help us spread the word. We also have a survey that we need everybody to fill out to tell us about how we can get better at doing events like this. So please, you don't even have to put your name on it if you don't want to, but we ask that you fill out the survey so we know next time we do this how we can target your needs and then we can grow from this. So June is National Caribbean American Heritage Month. Did y'all know that? Okay, so our month is actually longer than Black History Month. We get an extra 1 to 2 days depending on if it's a leap year or not. So we've been celebrating it nationally for over 26 years now. So if you don't do anything else, we do stuff in June. So we have first coming up, Melanin Girls Conference. It's our 6th rendition of it. It is a focus on young ladies aged 12 through 18 to teach them how to celebrate themselves and be proud of their heritage. This year, the theme is She Builds, She Leads, She Wins. It's free to the young ladies. It's on all our socials. I share it regularly with the registration link. So if you know anybody in your church, your community, your neighbors, your child, speakers for them. They also get an opportunity to share their stories, to keep them empowered, for them to celebrate being unique. We're looking for friends. We look loaded, don't it? So we're actually looking for friends. So our organization is director-led by design. It's not a membership organization. So we're looking for friends to help us offset the cost of our operations. Majority of our programming, we go out for specific funding based on the project that we're working on. But to make sure that we can continue to operate in this space, because we're a small non-profit, that there's not a lot of funding that targets us, right? So you know how Black people are, we're gonna make it work, we're gonna make it do what it do. And one of the ways that we do it is to beg friends. We're not really begging our friends, but we're looking for folks to support what we do by being a part of the organization through other friends. So we have an event on June the 11th. It's a happy hour event. It's from 5:30 to 8 p.m. in Livonia. We do have some flyers for everything that I'm talking about over there, so you can take it and share it. You can also, like I said, follow us on socials and get the information. And then we are doing our celebration of the actual National Heritage American Heritage Month at Pola Lounge in Farmington Hills on Friday, June the 12th. Doors open at 8. This is a free event, and they're also going to have drinks and food specials. So if you walk up in there, they have like a Bob Marley fruit punch. You know that it's National Heritage American Heritage Month. Our theme this year, and we go out with a national theme, is Roots and Horizons, our shared heritage, our collective future. In October, one of our signature events that we do is, forget Columbus Day. It started out with another word, about F word, but for us to get funding, we have to keep it clean. So it's Forget Columbus Day. It's an award dinner where we celebrate collective community members in those 5 program areas that have been supporting, empowering, and advocating for our community here in Metro Detroit. So we ask that you stay tuned also for you to come out and celebrate with us. It's a nice little, you dress up in your cute little outfit, put on your high-heel shoes, and you come and share a bit with us, learn about our community and the folks that are supporting us. So I think I covered everything. And it's very easy to follow what we do. We are not in hiding. We have learned how to not be visibly invisible anymore. We go out there and we show all our colors very nicely. But we want to make sure that when you leave this room, you carry us with you. Literally carry us with you. If there are doors that are open, take us in there with you. If not, help us pry those doors open, because we know how to bring chairs, we know how to build tables, and we understand the nuances of being immigrants in a space like Detroit, because a lot of us have been here for a long time. But I want to make sure that every time we go out there, we carry our communities with us and support our community members as we see fit. I mentioned earlier, we have snacks in the back. Y'all taking it with y'all. The little cookie stuff, the little nutty stuff, the water and the juice. Leave our tablecloths and our utensils. But the rest of the stuff, you can have it. Thank you guys again so much for your time. It's a great opportunity to continue to serve our community. And please use the rest of the time to get to learn about each other and to meet somebody new for the first time. It's an absolute pleasure having you guys here. I hope you learned a little bit about us, and we learned a lot about you. Thank you again